Today I want to tell you how I first heard about Travis Allen, our keynote today. Several years ago, Steve Kowalski sent me a link to his YouTube video. Now, Travis was a high school student at the time, and he made this very compelling video how you could use an iTouch to really revolutionize the classroom. You could individualize for students, and it was really a great tool, and he couldn't understand why we couldn't adopt that. So after graduation from high school, Travis entered Kennesaw State University in Georgia, and he expanded upon this idea. I want to quote something he wrote. He said, "As I watched my video, the one I told you about the iTouch, grow in views, I realized I wanted to do something more. So I formed a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing technology solutions to the classroom." So I want to say, how many students do you know during their freshman year of college have the initiative and creativity to form a student-led nonprofit organization dedicated to revolutionizing education system through innovative technology? Quite a feat, huh? And then I had the opportunity again to see Travis last summer at Building Learning Communities in Boston. Now, Travis, with his colleagues, came in a bus, a big bus. And this bus took a tour all across the United States and stopped at different places. It was really incredible. You have to go look at the website to see a picture of the bus. And they really wanted to spread the word about the digital learning revolution. And I attended his presentation that day on Prezi. And I have to tell you, it was one of the best presentations I saw. He was so succinct, to the point, and I really learned a lot. So now there's just one other thing you need to know before I introduce Travis. In case you are like me, worried about how he can get all his work done and do all this traveling around the world and keynotes, with so many speaking engagements, it must be the mother in me, I said to him one night on the phone, "Travis, I don't understand how you're doing this. You're traveling all around. How are you getting your college work done?" His response to me, "Shelley, I am a mobile learner. I can do my work anywhere. You know, I can do it on the airplane. I can do it in my hotel room." So, of course, I stopped lecturing him right there. So now, this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome Travis to speak to us about his experiences in education.
Good morning. I think we can do a little bit better than that. Good morning. There we go. Much, much better. I am so excited to be here in Boston today. Boston is actually one of my favorite cities. I don't tell many cities that, but I really enjoy Boston, really for one main reason. Has anyone been to, I think it's called Regina's Pizza? It is probably the best pizza I've ever tasted, and I am looking forward to going there tonight. If anyone wants to join us, we're going to be there probably the whole night and all day tomorrow. It is fantastic. So, my name is Travis Allen. I am a junior at Kennesaw State University in Georgia, like we heard earlier, studying business management, and I'm also the president and founder of iSchool Initiative. And today, I want to share with you my journey of becoming a mobile learner and what that really means. I want to focus on 3 points today. First, I want to talk about the birth and creation of iSchool Initiative, how I got here in front of all of you today. Second, I want to ask a very important question. Why? Why are we all sitting here today talking about this different technology, and why mobile? And last, I want to share with you 3 things I've learned along this journey that I truly believe can change and shape our world. So, my journey. You see, I was born in a different time period than some of you here today. I was born in the information age, surrounded by technology, and what I want you to do today is I want you to imagine being born in the information. Imagine walking in my shoes, growing up with this technology, and I'm going to go through my journey from the very beginning. Before we begin, here is some of the technology that already existed before I was born. We have the Nintendo Game Boy in 1989, the first cell phone in 1984. The first cell phone I found out was priced at $4,000. That's incredible. I was born in 1991 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and this is where my journey began. In the first decade of my life, companies like eBay, MSN, Yahoo, Google started forming and coming to the table, and each of these companies played a critical role in my life. Moving on to the second decade of my life, when I was 12, I received my first computer. Now, this was a great time in my life because I had the ability to explore the internet. I could go anywhere I want. The possibilities were endless, and I really enjoyed it. A year later, I received my first mobile phone, and this is where my journey as a mobile learner began. Now, when I was 14, I played a lot of video games. Anyone here like video games? Couple of us. Anyone here have kids who like video games? All right. Well, for me, it was a big part of growing up, and I want to share a personal story. When I was 14, I played this game called Star Wars Galaxies Online. It was an online game you could play with people all over the world. And iSchool Initiative is actually not my first company. I started a virtual fake business in this game, became one of the first millionaires, and I had 30 and 40-year-olds working for me at age 14. The possibilities are endless here. And it was through this gaming that I learned so much about communicating, running a business, managing people, marketing, and on. And everything I learned in that business, I'm now applying to my real everyday life today. When I was 16, I dove into the world of social media. Now, what I love about social media is, with the internet, I was able to explore the world around me. But through social media, I was given a voice. I was able to share what I had to say with the rest of the world. I thought this was really cool, especially being a 16-year-old. And then in 2009, I received my first cell phone, my first smartphone. And I started using this cell phone to do everything, read books, create my notes, etc. But I quickly became frustrated with education because I started taking it to class, and one day my teachers were told they had to take up this device. I came home that day frustrated, asking the question why. Why is it this way, and how could we do things better? So I noticed something that day. There was a huge gap between my education and my real-world experience. And I want to walk through what I felt my education was in 2009, growing up in the public education system. We started to see computer labs, word processing being put in schools, a little bit of the internet, and really no cell phones or mobile devices. And my team and I have created a list of grievances we've experienced growing up in the public education system. And I want to share just a few of those points with you. Students and learners cram and memorize for a test and then forget it all the next day. Buy outdated textbooks and never open them. Are expected to learn to survive in the real world without even experiencing the real world. Schools are bound to four walls and a desk, are killing creativity, from Sir Ken Robinson. And last, our current education system is built on an outdated and antiquated model, fails to account for the different learning styles of today's digital natives, and fails to embrace technology, mobile communications, and new innovative ways of teaching. Now, keep in mind, this was in 2009 in Georgia, and we've come a long way since then. It's thanks to conferences like this and teachers and school administrators like yourselves that we're able to create a better tomorrow, a better education for the students going through the system now. And I want to play a video from the documentary Waiting for Superman that shows where we ranked in 2009 compared to the rest of the world.
Since the 1970s, U.S. schools have failed to keep pace with the rest of the world. Among 30 developed countries, we rank 25th in math and 21st in science. The top 5% of our students, our very best, rank 23rd out of 29 developed countries. In almost every category, we've fallen behind, except one. The same study looked at math skills and found in these 8 countries, the USA ranked last. But when researchers asked the students how they felt they had done, did I get good marks in mathematics? Kids from the USA ranked number 1 in confidence.
Let me paint it for you this way. America's education system is the Titanic. It is this huge industrial age model, and there is so much infrastructure that it's hard to change directions. But the problem is we're headed straight for the information age, and there's an iceberg in our way. That iceberg represents the challenges each and every one of us face to get to that information age. The problem are not the students, are not the teachers. The problem lies within ignorance, people not aware of the need for a change, a lot of fear of that change, and red tape that slows progression down. Now, this is where my education was, but my real world looks something like this. The idea of computers, internet, and cell phones merging into one. And to me, this is what mobile learning is all about. And so in 2009, I came home one day when I had to call my parents. They had to drive down, talk to the principal, and pick up my cell phone when I was trying to use it in math class one day. That day, I decided to create a YouTube video showing how one-to-one mobile learning could transform education for the better. It took me 4 months straight to build this video and put it out there. But I felt it was a message that needed to be shared, and I felt that I, as a young person, had the ability to share it through social media and use tools like YouTube. Now, I want to play a minute of that video to show you what it was all about.
My name is Travis Allen. I am a 17-year-old high school student at Whitewater High in Fayetteville, Georgia. I believe I have a solution to America's education problem, and I need your help. My high school is experiencing massive budget cuts, teachers are being let go, and classroom sizes are getting larger. Our public education system is broken, and it needs to be changed. I hope you will take a moment to watch this short PowerPoint presentation I put together that answers the question, does technology belong in our classroom? You decide.
Let me introduce you to the future of American education, the iSchool. The iSchool will be built on Apple's popular iTouch platform. The iTouch is a revolutionary handheld device that is capturing the imagination of people worldwide. With its easy-to-use touchscreen interface, it has set the standard for music, video, and third-party applications. With the right plan, this simple device could change the face of public education. The idea is simple. Imagine a schoolroom with no books, no paper, no expensive copy machine, and no more number 2 pencils. Impossible, you say? I'll go ahead and stop it there, but this video was put out there about 3.5 years ago, and it's already outdated. This was before tablets even existed. And then with the release of the first iPad and many other tablets since then, the industry is growing at a rapid pace. I now take my mobile device and only my mobile device to all of my college courses. I do not own books, paper, printers, anything. I'm completely digital, and that's what we focus on. And so after watching this video spread across the world, and I started receiving emails from Australia and from Asia and other places, I decided to form the iSchool initiative. As it was mentioned earlier, a completely student-led nonprofit dedicated to reforming and revolutionizing education through innovative technology. Our mission is to motivate and inspire students to become lifelong learners. And most importantly, we are students attempting to change education as we know it. We must rethink, retool, and rebuild our current education system if we are going to better prepare the youth of tomorrow. So I want to expand on where this has taken us as I go through my journey. What started as a simple idea as a 17-year-old has now turned into a movement. And what I've experienced after working with many schools, working with many teachers, is that it's not easy. It's difficult. It's sometimes difficult to integrate mobile technology and go to a one-to-one or BYOT or whatever you're trying to do. And so what we've been working on in the last year is trying to assist schools to implement this technology. And we've really broken it down to 3 major components that need to be looked at when you're trying to incorporate technology. The first, I think, is the most important, which is what my team and I address: the mindset. If you're trying to implement technology and your teachers aren't on board, your students are on board, your school administrators are not on board, it's not going to be successful. You've got to have the right mindset. You've got to be able to train and help your teachers, assist your teachers in figuring out how to effectively use these devices. Second, infrastructure, placing the right infrastructure in the school system so we can have internet access, so we can manage the devices. All of these things are very important. And last, the funding. How can we afford this initiative? We're going to address all 3 of these throughout the presentation. But one thing I want to point out is, after working with tons of districts and learning what works, what doesn't, we have started working with schools to find needed solutions to go to a 21st century classroom. Whether it's getting customer support, mobile casing, mobile device management, being able to wirelessly present your iPad onto a screen. The vendors here today are your friends. They're the ones who can make a lot of this happen. Explore your options and find out what's available. I know that one of our partners, one of our groups that we're working with, AirWatch, which is a mobile device management solution, is actually at this conference today. And what we've experienced is, if you've ever tried to do Apple Configurator as you're deploying iOS devices, it's a painful process. But there are companies out there that can help you with solutions. And so we as a team focus on the mindset. We do professional development workshops. We're doing a couple after the keynote today, just showing how you can use mobile devices effectively in the classroom. And all of our breakout sessions, all of our professional development focuses on this concept of find, filter, and apply. No longer in the workplace is it as valuable to memorize and retain everything up here. It is more valuable if we can quickly find the right information and then apply it. Critical thinking is now more important than ever. And I want to play a clip from one of my favorite movies that embodies this find, filter, and apply concept. It's from The Matrix.
Can you fly that thing?
Not yet.
Operator.
Tank, I need a pilot program for a B-212 helicopter. Hurry. Let's go.
I don't know about you, but this looks like mobile learning to me. Maybe we're not quite there yet. So again, this is what my team and I have been working towards, that all started from this power of an idea. And I just want to point out that what I love about technology. First of all, it's just a tool. And I think we all know that it's just a tool. It's how we use it that really matters. And I think that youth today have more power than any generation before them. And they don't know it. They don't know what they can do out there. They don't know what they can accomplish. We were able to create a movement with no startup money, no money, all through the internet and social media. It's powerful. It's extremely powerful. Now, this idea has gone from just an idea to a reality in hundreds of schools. And one thing I just want to mention real quick, in the last year and a half, my team and I have traveled all over the U.S., presenting to a little over 50,000 people at conferences like this and schools. We've been helping deploy 2 of the districts deploying right now, both Clark County, Nevada, and Beaufort County in South Carolina, both deploying 7,000 to 8,000 iPads. This is what we do. We help the schools figure the best ways to deploy these devices from a youth perspective, and also providing the resources that we've found along the way. One school in particular was actually the first school we ever worked with, Kearns High in Utah. 2 years ago, they adopted our vision and received a $1 million grant and implemented 2,000 iPod Touches. Now, what I want to point out was this was one teacher who watched our YouTube video and said, you know what, I want that to be my school. And by herself, she wrote a $1 million grant, got it, did the training, and implemented the program. I thought it was very, very successful, and all from one individual. Now, I want to play another video that shows some of the excitement we experienced working with the students in Kearns High, and I just want to play the first minute of this video for you. We opened it up with a live concert, all on the mobile devices to get them excited.
To the people who brought the idea, even the idea of having iPod Touches in the classroom to you, and that's Travis Allen and the iSchool team. It was a year ago that I first saw Travis's video on YouTube and thought, that's the kind of school I want to work for. And today, that's the kind of school we have. And they're the people that you're here to watch, not me. So I'm going to say goodbye and let the assembly turn over to them.
Well, guess what, guys? Kearns High School is making history today. You're all getting an iPod.
Can I hear some noise? Travis Allen, everybody.
I'll go ahead and stop it there, but those students were excited. Excited to learn above all else. And you know, before our presentation, they thought, I can't believe the school is giving me an MP3/Facebook/Angry Birds device. And it wasn't until after our presentation that they got it. They saw why mobile learning and how it would transform their education. One thing I wanted to point out that I thought was really smart on their part is they created a program called iCougars. This was a student program where the students assisted and led the deployment and a lot of the training. So they got the students involved. These were the tech leaders of the school. So these student tech leaders would help other students, would be the ones tracking devices and just working with the different students. I find that very effective. It's empowering the students to teach. It's empowering them, giving them opportunities. And also they're very familiar with a lot of this technology. And you can help you, they can assist you in developing the program rather than just developing the program for them. I thought it was really, really cool. So moving on with my timeline, I want to jump into 2011. About a year and a half ago, I entered into a Google Young Minds competition hosted by Google. And you submit a 1-minute YouTube video if you're between the ages of 18 and 24, showing how you're changing the world. I had the privilege of being selected as one of the winners and attended Google's Zeitgeist conference. Now, at this conference, I was able to share my message and talk with people like Larry Page, the CEO of Google, Sir Richard Branson from Virgin Mobile, Mark Cuban, Chelsea Clinton, Huffington Post, and many, many other individuals. But one of the most amazing individuals I met was actually Peter on the top left over there. He is the creator and founder of Angry Birds. And the reason I really enjoyed meeting him was I felt that he had a really cool message. When we were talking, he told me that, most people think Angry Birds was this overnight success, that he became a millionaire like that. But he paints a completely different picture. He told me that Angry Birds was the 58th game he ever developed. 58th. That means he failed 57 times before he finally found something successful. And I think this is just a great message of the importance of not giving up, of pursuing your dreams, of going after something even though failure might stand in your way, but don't let it hold you back. Don't let it slow you down. So I really, really enjoyed talking with Peter. Now, just a few weeks ago, I was invited to the White House to attend the Education Data Palooza. And I want to share some of the things I found here when I met with the Department of Education, and Arnie Duncan was there, and a lot of other individuals. And I really enjoyed hearing where the Department of Education was headed. Here's some of the things they talked about that's also been talked about in some other places now. Over 2,500 schools are deploying iPads alone right now. That's just the iPads, not all the other tablets as well. That's a lot of schools already for the first 2 years of this device being out. 80%, when the CEO of Pearson spoke, he talked about the textbooks, and 80% of high school textbooks are now on the iBook store. So we're seeing a huge push for digital content, and this is really important because this has to happen if we're going to be able to get to that digital age. If we're going to be able to use these in the classroom, we need the textbooks on there. We need the support of others. And the last thing I'll mention that the Department of Education talked about was the funding. There are so many funding opportunities right now with Race to the Top and many others, grants. Right now, in January, they're releasing, I believe, $500 million in grants to different schools that have applied. And the grant is going to personalize learning. So you have to show how you're going to personalize and make the learning experience individual, and then you can apply for this grant. This is only one of a lot of funding going out there, so I highly encourage you, if you want to seek out how to afford this initiative, there's a lot of grants going out there right now for this type of work. Also, in the last year or so, my team has been able to reach a global audience. We traveled to Tanzania in Africa and Barcelona, Spain as well. And I want to share a quick experience I had in Tanzania. It wasn't at all what I expected. Here I was where they didn't have running water or electricity, but they all had cell phones. Not only did they all have a cell phone, but I was on a safari 10 feet away from a giraffe. I pull up my iPhone to take a picture, and I have full 3G coverage on my phone. They're so well connected out there, and while we're the Titanic, they're a sailboat, and they're going straight for that information age. We also traveled to Barcelona, Spain, where we spoke at the largest mobile conference, 70,000 companies and people coming together to talk about the mobile industry. And I'm very excited to see the upcoming technology with other tablets other than iOS that are coming next year and could be great for education. The last thing I'd like to mention on my timeline here is this summer, what my team and I set out to do. You see, we wanted to reach as many people as possible. We felt that in order to get a real movement on the ground, we had to reach a lot of people. And we thought about, what if we host our own conference in Georgia? But you know what? It's expensive. It's hard to bring people to us. So we thought, we're mobile learners. Why not make a mobile conference? And in the span of 2 months, we raised $150,000. We rented this huge tour bus and booked 21 cities of presentations all across the nation. So my team members, there was about 10 of us, lived in this bus, slept, ate, everything for 45 days across the country. Quite a cool experience. Fought a little bit along the way, especially after day, I think it was 3, we started fighting. But it was a lot of fun. We presented to about 10,000 people across the country and went to conferences like ISTE with our bus and went to conference right here in Boston, which was mentioned, and just had the coolest experience to learn about what everyone's doing, not just around us, but across the country. It was a really cool experience. Our last stop on this tour was my old high school. They've now done a complete 180. Now, not only are they allowing their students to use their cell phones and mobile devices, they're encouraging it. They've gone completely to a whole BYOT for the whole district. And this came at a perfect time because my little brother, who just started his freshman year, has the opportunity to use his mobile device in his classes. This is why I set out to do what I'm doing, to create a better education, to create opportunities that I would have loved to have had growing up in high school and public education. And so this is the birth and creation of iSchool Initiative and where we are today. Now I want to switch gears here and go to the question, why? Why mobile? Why now? And I'm just going to talk about a few key things that really personally affected me as a mobile learner. The first one, I think, is something we tend to overlook, and that's being organized. In high school, I was that student who had the big wad of paper crammed in my backpack, and I always missed my assignments. I never stayed on top of anything. I was a mess. I was not the best high school student, I'll tell you that right now. But when I went digital, I was able to completely organize my life. And so I want to share just a few pictures here. These are random students at Kennesaw State University and what they had in their backpack when I asked if I could take a picture. And this is what I saw. But again, I take only my tablet. 1.3 pounds, that's all I take to all my classes. It's amazing at what this does. A year ago, I received an email from a 12-year-old boy from the Caribbean. And I want to share this email with you. I think it's pretty cool. And I apologize about the grammar, but then again, he is 12. I have saw your video both on CNN and YouTube, and for a 12-year-old boy, I got a great idea. See, I live in an island in the Caribbean, and I go to school every day with heavy books. What is the result? Exhaustion, tiredness, humpbacks. School is already a place with challenges for the academically privileged, but to have to carry heavy bags to school, that is torture. That is torture. And just imagine this poor 12-year-old boy here, carrying a backpack that I'm sure weighs more than him, walking to school uphill both ways. And it just blows my mind that there are more effective ways of doing this, and we're not seeking them out as we should. So organization was a big part of mobile for me. Also, this idea of internet access 24/7. I think this is a really cool concept that's really changing how we interact with the world. I am now connected to a vast amount of information anytime, anywhere. How many of you here have a smartphone or tablet? A lot of us. Okay. Well, I'm sure you've experienced this. You're on the go. You don't know what something is. What do? You Google it. That's the idea. This is it 24/7. And I truly believe that this 24/7 access, what it does, this connectivity allows spending less time doing the mundane tasks in our day-to-day and more time on critical thinking, on applying the knowledge, on building something, creating something. That's what I believe it does for me as a mobile learner. The third thing I want to mention are the savings. A lot of times we talk about costs. Well, let's talk about savings. There are so many ways schools can save a lot of money, and our team has been working on a case study that shows just how much. As a college student, if you buy a tablet as a freshman year, you can save up to $3,000 over your 4 years of college. I have personally saved thousands of dollars by going digital. And we're going to talk a little bit about how I do this in a minute. But even schools who are deploying, for example, Beaufort County, one of their schools, they had the opportunity of building with the program. The school was new. They built it without lockers. That was really cool because that alone saved a lot of money, and they were able to expand the classes and make the classes bigger. Really, really cool what they're able to do. So savings are a big part of this. And last, my favorite part, applications. I love apps. I'm an app lover. And I know many of you probably are too. So I want to switch gears here and do something different. I want to not just talk about it. I want to show you how I'm using this device every day to revolutionize my education. And I want to start by talking about how I'm organized. I did mention that, so I want to just show a couple things here. I use an app called iStudies Pro. What this app does is it gives my agenda on the left, and I can click all my assignments here. And usually I plug these in at the beginning of my semester, and it has all my assignments listed by when they're due and color coordinated by class. Now, as we begin to look at apps and technology, please ask yourself, how is this not only replacing something, but how is it enhancing the learning experience? Because that's what we want to do here. We don't want to just replace. So when I use this app, it's not just about replacing a paperback agenda. But what this does is, when I write stuff in my paperback agenda, I would often forget to go check it. This sends me a text message the day before saying, you have homework due tomorrow. And it has saved me countless times to make sure I get all my deadlines taken care of. So I just wanted to mention this one as how I stay organized. A lot of people ask me how I take notes. And I want to share a couple ways I do this. The traditional college student takes notes with pen and paper, and they write bullet points often or something of that form. And to me, it was just not very effective. How do you take bullet points and then study them? It was difficult, and I didn't understand it. So what app I'm going to show you is a flashcard building app called Cranberry. And I'd like to mention that at the end of the presentation, I'll show you a link where you can access all the apps I show, plus a lot more, and a couple resources you can use at the end of the presentation. I see a lot of people writing the names down. So this is Cranberry. This is what I do. When I'm in class, I build flashcards as the lecture is going. So let me just show you what I mean here. I've got Business Law 3, for example. I've got all my notes here. I can flip to the back quickly. I built these in question format while I was in class. All I do is click the plus button here. It gives me the front, so it's business law. We'll put, what is larceny? And then on the back, I can just do this. The definition of larceny is, and I can even talk in my device, and it will type all the notes for me. So very effective at building notes. And every time I go to a study group, I'm always the one leading it because people want to use my notes. What it does is it gives you the front of a flashcard. You see if you know it. You click Show Answer. If you got it wrong, you'll put incorrect, and it will repeat those cards. Very simple process, but to me, this is a whole lot of saving on time, of not rewriting all my flashcards, on carrying flashcards. How many of us as students, when we were students, did we carry 300 flashcards with us everywhere we went? Anybody? Couple of us. There's always a couple of you guys. I was not one of those people. But now, I can take 24/7 learning, and anywhere I am, on the bus, at the bank, at home, at school, I can pull out my flashcards and study for 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just start doing it throughout my day. It's a really, really cool concept what this can allow us to do. Now, sometimes flashcards are not always the best way of taking notes. I want to show you how I build word processing documents. I use an app called Pages. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Pages. There's many out there. You don't have to use Pages. It's just one I like. And you can see right now I'm in the middle of business economic statistics class where I'm taking notes. I've got bullet points and color-coordinated graphs. I built this graph in OmniSketch, a separate app, in half the time it took, and then imported it into my document here. I've got a picture I took and put it in there. One thing I'll mention is I don't buy any of my textbooks, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But we had to do one problem out of the textbook, so rather than buy a $120 book for it, grabbed my neighbor's book, said, hey, can I take a picture of it real quick, and threw it in my notes. I want to switch here and show you something I built in Pages, but I put it in a PDF here. In my HPS class, my fitness class, we had to build a workout routine. And most students, a fitness living log, most students were turning in this huge binder full of cereal boxes and paper and all this stuff. And I asked my professor if I could turn in a completely digital copy. And he said, absolutely, that sounds fantastic. So what I'm going to show you is what I created. But what I want you to do is imagine what your students could do with the ability and opportunities like this. So we have a cover page, table of contents, chapter 1 summary with image and text, different graphs and charts I took, more lab summaries. I'm going to skip some of this and probably make some of you dizzy. We had to measure our BMI. I found an app to do that. We had to measure how many steps we were taking. I found an app to do that on my iPhone because I carry it everywhere I go. The blue bar represents how many steps I took that day, and the green bar are my goals for that week. But again, it's not just about replacing the pedometer. How is it enhancing the experience? And so with this app, not only did it tell me my steps, but it showed me a Google map of everywhere I've been that day. That's really cool, because then I can take that to my teacher and say, I ran around my neighborhood 4 times, then I ran to Starbucks, and then I ran to McDonald's, which was counterproductive, but then I went here. You can do so much with this. We had to build a workout routine. I used an app called iFitness that gave me image, text, and an actual quick video demonstration of how to do every workout. Now, for those of you who work out, you know how important it is to make sure you're doing something correctly, because you're not going to get a lot out of it and you could hurt yourself. But we can't always have a personal trainer with us 24/7. So with this app, I was able to learn and use it with me as I worked out. And last, we had to measure how many calories we were intaking. I used an app called MealSnap. And with this app, all you do is take a picture of a food item. And based on that picture, it analyzes it, tells you the name of the item, and how many calories it is. So on the left, we have an apple pastry at 250 calories. In the middle, I took a picture of this, and I kid you not, it said, this is a strawberry milkshake with whipped cream, and it is 275 calories. Now, you're probably wondering the same thing I was wondering. How does this work? How is this possible? And I think I figured it out. This is my imagination going here, but this is what I picture. There's a small room with 100 computers and 100 people just sitting there waiting for people to put in these pictures. It's got to be the only way. So this is what I turned into my class. And my professor enjoyed it so much, he had me share it with the rest of the class as well. How are we doing on time? 5 minutes? Cool. So I could share apps probably for the next 3 hours and do this, but sadly to time, I'm just going to share maybe two more of some fun ones, some ones I really enjoy. I'm not musically talented at all, but does anyone here play an instrument? Couple of us? Okay. Well, this is GarageBand. You may have seen it before, but to me, this was just so cool because I could be anywhere and be playing a drum set. In fact, I was on the airplane with my headphones and I was making music. I mean, how many people can do that? And so I've never been able to play drums on a real set, but through playing this, oops. You can play drums, you've got tons of different instruments, but you can make your own song on it as well. And I want to, again, I'm not musically talented at all, but I made this song on the airplane a while back, and I just want to play it real quick to see the possibilities here. You guys get the idea. So just to tell you a quick story, I'll make it quick. I was that kid when I was 13 that told my parents I wanted an electric guitar for Christmas. They bought it for me. They finally bought it for me one year, and I kid you not, 3 weeks later it was sitting in a storage closet. And so what I found through this was that I didn't like guitar, but I loved drums. And everything I learned to play on the iPad, I now went to a real drum set, and I was able to play the same thing. That's what it's about, the application piece. And I love apps that help me create content, not just absorb content, but what is going to help me actually create something. And that's why I really like GarageBand. Now, I wanted to talk about textbooks, and I'm going to show you an app that's kind of like a textbook. It's called The Elements. This is a periodic table that completely comes to life, and you can go anywhere you want with it. And I'm going to open it up with a song.
There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium.
I will spare you. It's very, very long. But we can click on elements. We can learn about it. We can get more information, see what the object's made up of. If we have 3D glasses, we can even see the object in 3D. So lots of cool things you can do with this. And I'm going to share one last app. It's called Starwalk. One of my favorite apps, and I'm just going to briefly show it because I really like this. This is a way to explore the universe around you. You can scroll around it. It locates where we are through GPS, and then we can scroll around and find where everything is. So there's if we're facing east, that's what we're going to see right now. And it shows where the planets are. But what's really cool is I just pick up the iPad, and everything behind the iPad is what you're going to see. So really cool. Imagine, using this for astronomy or learning about the different stars. It's really, really cool. The last thing I'll share is an app that we've been developing for the last year. It's a free app. It's not on iTunes yet. It's called Apps for iSchool. All it is finding the best educational apps. That's always been the complaint we've heard from educators. It's so hard to find good apps. And the one place you never want to go to is iTunes App Store, category education. Promise you, you don't want to go there. So we've been building this filter system. So let's say I'm a 12th grade math teacher. I can search for iPad, free, high school, subject, math, done. And it pulls the math applications for that teacher that were suggested by my team. You can click on any of the apps on here and link right to iTunes to download the app. So I'm going to jump back to my presentation here. I don't want to take up too much time from the sessions. And I want to close with the last point I mentioned earlier, which is 3 things that I've learned along this journey that I truly believe can change and shape our world. First, work hard, fail a lot, but learn more. Learn more. iSchool Initiative has failed countless times, but it's because of those failures we were able to get where we are today. If you're not failing, you're probably not trying. And I think that all too often students are so afraid of failure that they won't go out of their comfort zone and accomplish something. A colleague of mine, she wanted to be a PR major until she found out that it was a stressful job and she switched majors because she was afraid of failing at it. That's not what we need. We need to take it head on and not be afraid of it. Second, have a love, an absolute love and desire to learn, because I truly believe that if you have a love of learning in the information age, you will lead a life of significance. We all have to become lifelong learners, constantly learning because of the information and how it's coming to us. And so I truly believe that have that passion and love of learning, and you will lead that life of significance. And last, lead the way. This might seem simple, but often I have teachers and school administrators who come to me and say, you know what, I love these ideas, I want to make them happen, but I don't know how, or my school is not ready for it, or I can't get anyone on board. That doesn't matter. Do it anyway. Be the innovative teacher, be the innovative school administrator, be the innovative student, and show everyone else what is possible. Then, I guarantee you, they'll follow. and you can create that education that you've always wanted. And I'll close with this last quote. When your passion and your purpose are greater than your fears and excuses, you will find a way. Thank you so much for your time.